Probably for the last time. So I'm gonna give this. I'm giving this. It's one big shot. What? The tie? You think this tie actually works? Well, because I can't see it, from a distance. I can only see my ties upside down, like from where I am. Okay, I don't know, because I've got a lot of cool ties, and this one I find is just, I don't know, this one. Yeah, the tie apparently it's very day. I don't know. Okay. Welcome to this place, which we make holy by our presence. These doors are open to all. Bring your brokenness and bring your power. Bring your fatigue, your early morning aches, and your energy. For here you need not hide nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, where the human is celebrated, where compassion is strength. Welcome to this place. Together, we make it a holy place. Please join me for the chalice lighting, which you would think I would know by now. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. And now please stand if you're able for hymn 361 and to rejoice and come in.
Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in.
Oh, thank you. Our responsive reading today is number 610. Number 610. Where in our hearts is that burning of desire? Is it true we are made of dust, and the world is also made of dust? but the dust has motes rising. Whence comes that drive in us? We look to the starry sky, and love storms in our hearts. Whence comes that storm? The journey of love is a very long journey, but sometimes with a sigh, you can cross that vast desert, search and search again without losing hope. You may find sometime a treasure on your way. My heart and my eyes are all devoted to the vision. This is the time in the service when we share our joys and sorrows, those things that have been kind of weighing us down in this last week, or those things that have been kind of putting a spring in our step as we think about the week to come. Please take a moment, think about if there's something you'd like to share, and when you do, please come up and light a candle.
Two things. I'm not going to be here next week for Father's Day. We're going to be at a car show. So I want to give joy to my dad. He's like this amazing, amazing, amazing dad, and he raised me and my sisters on his own and did everything for us. We called him Mom Dad. On Mother's Day we call him and say, Happy Mother's Day, Mom Dad. He was. And yesterday or the day before, I got to go out, drive to Lewiston and visit him and sit in the backyard and just talk to him, and I'm just thankful that he's around and doing well. And then I'm also going to express gratitude or joy or luck that I found my husband, because he's just amazing, and this past week he's been off work, and I would have liked to go on a vacation, let's go somewhere, but he had projects to do at home. So last Sunday he fixed the roof. He roofed our breezeway. He got up there, replaced the plywood, and then he was missing plywood, so he cut part of Emerson's ramp and took the plywood out of there. So Emerson's like, Dad, what about my ramp? But he fixed the roof, and then the next day he sealed our driveway, and the next day he went to our rental house in Lewiston and had to replace the whole outer pipe going out. I can't believe he knew how to do that. And then he did just a lot of stuff, a lot of work around the house. Oh, and then he power washed our whole house yesterday. But on top of all the traditionally manly stuff, he also does all the cooking and all the shopping, and I clean. And he's just amazing, and I'm lucky, and I'm joyful that he's alive and he's mine.
Hi, I just wanted to let everybody know that Friday we're going to have Nadja's ashes put in her gravesite. She has a spot next to her husband. There's a gravestone already there, and it's going to be at 11 o'clock this Friday on the 13th at Holy Trinity Cemetery in Lewiston. The location is near the intersection of William and Riverdale Streets. It's just going to be a very short ceremony. A priest will say a prayer, and then we'll have her ashes, the urn, put into the ground. The Holy Trinity Cemetery is over there close to the hospital, St. Mary's Hospital, and there's 3 cemeteries connected all together, and where Shelby is buried at, we're going to park on the street, so you'll see us there, not inside the cemetery, but parked on the side. Afterwards, we might all find a restaurant or something to have lunch. So if you'd like to come, you could always call me or ask me more about it. I'm going to light a candle for Nadja.
This is a joy. Can you hear me? This is a joy for our congregation. Today is John's 100th service that he has performed here for us. And we are all very grateful. And I know Erica was very disappointed that she wasn't going to be here for your 100th. So she said congratulations, and congratulations from all of us. Oh, and you better stay for coffee hour. I believe John's doing a presentation after coffee hour today, so, okay.
I think we come here often. Most of us come here often. If not, hopefully visitors will come again. But if we look at these banners, they're not just there for decoration. These banners all say something very similar around here. And very important is who we are as a body of faith or whatever you want to say. But the only one I don't know what that one means. But if you look at these 6, they all say same message. I've been studying my 4th or 5th sort of writings pertaining to each one of these, and the messages are basically the same, with a little trappings of national identities or worldly locations. But if you really look at them all, they say that to live is to love, and to love is to live. And in this universe, if they're all here together, then we must be a part of the universe, not apart from the universe. I just shifted some prepositions around there. We must be a part of the universe, not apart from the universe.
Hi. Just wanted to mention, I know we circulated an email and I caught some folks, I don't think I caught everybody, but Joe Ewing had heart surgery this week, and apparently it turned out very well. He called and just, you know, it was funny, you know, that he cuts the grass here, and he played down the surgery and said, well, you got to do something, you know, about the grass, because I can't do it for a while. You know, always the selfless approach to things. So anyway, but for those who might not have heard, that is something that happened, and my understanding is it had a good outcome. So we'll light a candle for Joe.
I can't hear. Can't hear. Oh.
Yeah, let me start again.
That's better.
I'm feeling well today, but he's not here. But we were both present at the kickoff for Pride Month here at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Niagara Falls, and there were many of our congregation who were present at that event. So thank you very much for attending. I'm very thankful for that. And it was an interfaith service that included many of the pastors and ministers from the various churches in Niagara Falls who shared prayers. And it was just a wonderful event, and it was very empowering. So And thanks especially to members of this congregation who attended that event. I'm very thankful for that.
Well, last week I wasn't here, as some of you, may or may not realize, but I did something different in the Gay Pride Parade this year with the Buffalo Bulldogs. And John asked me, I was a little intimidated at first, but then why should I be? Because I drove a 30-foot school bus, but he asked me to drive his huge pickup truck, like a 4-door, with the trailer behind it, full of the Bulldogs. Anyways,
Thanks.
I guess I did good because nobody fell off the trailer, the float. So we were joking about that at the meeting last night. So I guess that's a joy. And I've also started my spring cleaning. But this is a pretty deep cleaning because this involves not just cleaning the ceilings, the fans, the furniture. I move it all to one side, and then I sweep the floor really good, make sure there's nothing on it. Then I mop it with Murphy's oil soap and water. And then once that's dry, then I put about 2 coats of polyurethane on. And the other side of my living room had its first coat. So when I get back, it's water-based, so it dries quickly. So I'll be able to put on the second and final coat. And then tomorrow morning, I put the living room back together again. Then it's the dining room and the bathroom. So I'm doing like 1 or 2 rooms a day. So I'm trying to do it. It takes me a whole week to do it. So, and I do have other people taking care of my parents in the meantime. Sure. Yeah.
And believe it or not, we have one from Francie. So I don't know if she'd like to jump in on Zoom.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I have 2 joys. My youngest grandson, Justin Mayhew, graduated from high school May 18th. It was from St. Mary's Prep School in Bloomfield, Michigan. And what is really neat about it is that the school is 100 years old, and it was founded by a Polish priest. My mother's family is Polish. And though I didn't do a lot of traditions when I was raising my own kids, it's really interesting that it turned around, that he ended up going to a school with some Polish culture in it. And he really did well in the school. And I'm really glad for him. He's on to Michigan State for college in the fall and studying electrical engineering. And my granddaughter, is spending a month in Barcelona. She managed to spend a month somewhere, either in France or Barcelona or somewhere in Europe once a year. That's one of her goals. She's a fashion editor, so she's able to combine her work online with her vacation. So I'm so happy for her. Thank you.
Thanks, Francie.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of passion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me.
I failed my driver's test at the age of 31. I had always lived in places small enough to walk or big enough for mass transit, but when we moved from Manhattan to Nowheresville, North Carolina, I finally had to learn how to drive. My mom came all the way from New Mexico to take me into a parking lot and show me which was the gas and which was the brake. Then, after a few lessons, the big day arrived. The guy from the DMV got into the car with me, and we went out onto the road. I guess in North Carolina, they believe that like a parking lot with traffic cones is an insult to the Wright brothers or whatever. They just lead you right out into the flow of traffic. So we're going, and he said, now turn right. And I looked, nothing but driveways. And he said again, turn right. And I said, am I driving to that house? Is that your house? Am I dropping you off? He said, no, turn right onto that street. So I pulled into the oncoming lane and stopped the car. And I said, listen, I'm already nervous here, and you're freaking me out with this prank or whatever it is. There is no right turn. Then he pointed, and I was reminded that I never actually learned my right from my left. If my thinking is pretty clear, I can take a moment and put them into alphabetical order, or I can put my thumbs and fingers up and just see which one looks more like an L at the moment. But I didn't have that presence of mind at the time because I was trying to maneuver a 2-ton exoskeleton on wheels while toothless teenagers on crystal meth were flying by in pickup trucks. So I failed the road test. Or you could say I retroactively failed kindergarten, where I think I was supposed to learn left and right, but I could only think about girls. And the road test, which I eventually passed, but the road test did not include horn honking, so I never actually learned how to do that. One time I was in a parked car and someone actually backed into me going 4 miles an hour. It was literally a car crash in slow motion with me sitting at the driver's seat saying, stop, 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 stop. But she didn't hear. And only later did it occur to me that there was this big button on the steering wheel for precisely that purpose. The other thing I didn't learn, the North Carolina driving test did not include parallel parking. So I never learned it. And I kind of feel okay about it because it means when I go downtown, I have to pass 6 or 7 open spots and then park a quarter mile away from my destination. And that's good because I can get a short walk in. But finally, last weekend, with just days to go before turning 46, I was in Toronto with Jackson for a concert looking for parking, and we had already spiraled out more than a kilometer from the venue where we knew that the show had already started. And I saw a spot on the sidewalk, and I thought, you know, this is it. I've seen this done. I can do it. And by the power of rock and roll, I parallel parked for the first time. Which means, if I had to, I could finally pass a New York State driver's test. Just in time, because this summer I have to start teaching teenagers to drive. And then I have to find a parking spot near the downtown DMV. And my son, who by then will be ready to parallel park for his road test, I don't want him asking me while we're still circling half a mile away. I'm terrified by the thought of my children on the road because to me, they are still children. It's not just that they have to pass this one-time initiation ordeal. It's a road test every time you start the engine. The state can give you permission to operate a motor vehicle. That's a one-time thing, like a graduation. But learning how to drive is a continual process. So I want to congratulate those of you who passed the road test by getting here this morning. Graduates, the future is in your hands. It's June, which is a magical time to be a teacher. And I love being a teacher because 99% of what I say at home is, the food goes in the mouth. Take a bite, chew, swallow, and get on with your life. The food goes in the mouth, the bottom goes in the chair goes under the table, the chin goes over the plate, so that if the food misses the mouth, it'll fall onto the plate, and you can repeat step one. The food goes in the mouth. So then someone says, hey, will you come in and teach about world religions? Yes. It's going to be 10,000 times more fun than the food goes in the mouth. So I get to say all kinds of things, and in my 13 years of college teaching, not one single student has starved to death, which means they all know where the food goes. Being a teacher for me is a road test every semester. Fortunately, most questions from students are about systematic theology. What's the difference between Eastern and Western religions? They don't know my one weakness. If a student raised their hand and asked me which way was left, I would just have a breakdown. This way, that way, your left, my left, and how do we end up with 4 different answers to this question? And I got to be extra careful because I'm an adjunct professor. I didn't actually get the job of being a teacher. And if there was a job, it would go to somebody else, someone with pedigree. All I've got is years of experience. So every semester is a job interview for the next semester. And from my job interview, I'm being evaluated in a room full of 19-year-olds. And they don't know it, but they are my job supervisors. They are the managers, and I am their employee. Yes, there is the chairperson of the college religion department who puts me on the schedule, but I have not actually seen her in 5 years. Every semester, my students fill out questionnaires evaluating my performance as a teacher. My students want to know if they will pass the class, because if they don't, they'll have to take it again, taught by somebody else. But I also want to ask them if I've passed the class, because if I fail, I won't get to teach it again. College, I showed up at college to learn, but college is not so much about learning information as it is about learning to search for, memorize, and categorize information. Because the human brain freely associates from one thing to another. You say hi, someone says their name, it reminds you of a place, which reminds you of a song, which reminds you of an instrument, which can make it harder to remember later what that person's name was. Was it a mandolin by any chance? But while the brain freely associates things, college is all splintered into ologies and onomies and ographies. And by some constellation of these, you eventually get a degree. In religious studies, I'm supposed to teach theology, the logic of God. But I find it so silly to imagine one human being telling another that God is required to follow some human logic. I mean, look around. Even humans don't follow human logic most of the time. I'm slightly amused but bored by theology. And I cannot teach the trigonometry of the Trinity because I just don't care. So instead, we look at religion as a mix of archaeology and mythology, biology, enology, that's the study of wine, which has played a major role in religious history, technology, ecology, epistemology, anything from anthropology to zoology. And it's all organized in accordance with my own very, very short attention span. But we get to mix all of these categories together, and then instead of quizzes on memorizing who, what, where, when, how, I assign students to write papers on why. Why do some people live in teepees and others build pyramids? Why do some societies believe that humanity is naturally equal, while other societies believe that humanity is naturally hierarchical? And you don't have to come up with a correct answer, because there is no correct answer. I just want to see that someone has been asking interesting questions. That, to me, is the real value of this education. And yet a lot of my students really just want to know, what can I repeat back to you so that I can get an A next to my student ID number? Like they are actually there not to be humanized, but to be dehumanized, or to get passed along on the assembly line, or to be commodified, to get like stamped, USDA certified cash cow. They really want a teacher to be like that guy from the DMV, saying, now turn left. There is no left. Well, yeah, this is religious studies. I didn't ask if left exists or not. I just want to see you try another perspective. This is a month of graduation speeches, which pretty much all boil down to the party's over. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. This month, a generation of innovators and trailblazers will be invited to rise to the level of featured graduation speaker. That's the real coming of age. That's when you get to pat yourself on the back in front of this year's class and their parents, who are still wondering if they chose the right school. But for the speaker, it's also kind of a final exam, because you've got to give a speech convincing a bunch of youngsters that they really can change the world. Except they can't do it the way that you did, since that frontier's already been pioneered. Besides which, it's not the same world you graduated into 20. But they can do it in some new way. They can change today's world. And I do dream of giving a graduation speech someday so that I can congratulate myself for a trail well blazed. But I don't envy this graduation speakers. Not just because this year's class will be graduating into a trade war and recession in a country that voted loud and clear that all manner of crackpot quackery is tolerable, but academic debt is unforgivable. I think it'll be especially challenging to give a graduation speech this month, because I think it's becoming clear we collectively failed 20th century history and now must repeat it. And for some reason, when Erica asked last month what I would like to speak about for my 100th service, I thought, the question of whether we will graduate from humanity's self-destructive adolescence into some sort of maturity, that would be a really fascinating topic for June. And I worked on that, and it kept listing into the ditch and ran out of gas. So I decided to put some personal recollections and thoughts into a wagon, roll it down the hill, and see where it goes. I hope I've passed this road test. And if not, I hope you'll allow me to retake it sometime. But I did say I would offer a few words to the graduates, by which I mean you. But since I can't give advice on how to make it to the top, I'll give you pointers for your next road test. follow the rules of traffic, but keep your eyes open and don't expect anybody else to follow the rules of traffic. When someone honks at you, remember that part of what they're expressing is frustration with their car's very limited vocabulary. And even if we Americans can't agree on where this country or humanity is going, or even where it has been, we still need to share the road. Thank you. Our next song is number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
If you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard nights.
Do we have any announcements today? I'm excited to announce that in about a half hour, after coffee hour, we will continue our adult education series on Black elk and Native American spirituality in the Midwest. Also, I'd like to say that I'd like to thank you all. It was about 10 years ago that my family moved to Buffalo, and I reached out and I contacted some different Unitarian churches, and it was Peter and Betsy who got back to me and said, yes, you can try out doing a service. And that one really was like a road test. It really was like an audition, or it felt like a job interview. Maybe the first 10 or the first 15 or the first 20 really do have that feeling of it's like a job interview, and you got this one chance to really get up there and make something happen. I still, 10 years and 100 services later, I really think about what I'm going to say up here, and I try not to lean too hard on I can this one doesn't have to be my best because I feel like I'm trusted here. But I do really appreciate when I sit down to write one of these sermons, and I'm really pushing myself to say, well, I'm going to give this not to a DMV instructor, not to a classroom full of 19-year-olds that I've never seen before. I get to share this in a room full of friends and people who've seen people who I have a discourse and a connection with. So I really appreciate that. And a lot of the time, as you may know from seeing me run in here and like write a paragraph, a lot of the time I don't write an ending for one of my sermons at my desk, because when I'm at my desk, it's just me, and I'm just talking into this void. And then on the drive here, I will really start to think about this room full of people, and I'll say, this thing I've been thinking about, what does that have to do with this room full of people in particular? And that always, all except for once, but that always helps me to come up with some with some ending. I mean, there was one service where just no ending came, and I just had to say, this will be to be continued, and I'll end it some other time, which I did a couple of services later. Anyway, so I want to thank you for that, and I'm looking forward to continuing, and I'll be back next month, and I hope that my 101st service can be a good one. All right. Together, we have sanctified this space. If you have found strength and comfort here, share some out there. Remember that you are blessed and you are a blessing, and you are not alone. Please join me for the words of extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These in our hearts until we are together again.
All smiles, I know what it takes to fool this town. I'll do it till the sun goes down and all through the night time. Oh yeah, oh yeah, I'll tell you what you want to hear. Leave my sunglasses on while I shed a tear. It's never the right time. I put my armor on, I'll show you how strong I am. I put my armor on, I'll show you that I am. I'm unstoppable, I'm a Porsche with no brakes, I'm invincible. Yeah, I win every single game, I'm so powerful. I don't need batteries to play, I'm so confident. I'm unstoppable today, 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 unstoppable today. I put my armor on, I'll show you how strong I am. I put my armor on, I'll show you that I am. I'm unstoppable, I'm a Porsche with no brakes, I'm invincible. I win every single game.